Good morning, everybody. Today's Isru Chag, the day after the holidays. And I want to get a little bit personal on one end, and then mostly political. So I think we'll start with the personal. Yesterday was simchas Torah, which is a day. I love how Lord Jonathan Sacks put it. It's a day that really is the emblem of the Jewish people. If you want to understand the Jewish people, which means as a religious community, you look at this yontiv of simchas Torah, which is a purely Jewish invention. Meaning there's nothing biblical or Talmudic that compels us to complete the Torah at this time of the year. In ancient times, the custom was some people did it like this and finished the whole Torah once a year, and some did it once in 3 years. Not the way that the conservative and I guess some of the Reform temples, not all the conservative temples do this, but some, I think now it's most of the conservative temples and Reform temples, if they have a Torah reading, which more and more do today, have a triennial cycle where they're reading the same readings that we are, it's not like an order, they're just reading 1/3 of this week's Parsha. Not sure where that came from. They're not doing anything against halacha by doing that either. There's nothing that compels them to do more than that. It's just an interesting thing. It's a little different. But here, we finish the Torah on the second day of Shmini Atzeres, the last day, outside of the Holy Land, and in the Holy Land on Shmini Atzeres. Basically, on the last day of Sukkot is when we finish the Torah, and then nothing that compels us to start it over again. We can't wait to start it, so we start it over again. And we celebrate this. And there is no miracle, historical event, particularly linked to this day, that compels us to do this, neither of biblical origin nor of rabbinic origin. We just do it because we decided to do this. And more, we've decided to do more and more things to celebrate this day, and different customs over in different communities, how to celebrate this event of completing the Torah and starting the Torah anew. And it tends to be a drinking holiday in the Jewish community. Nothing that compels us to do this, but something we do. And I myself imbibed quite a bit yesterday. And I realized something last night, talking to someone online, was talking to somebody, and I realized, and I'm thankful for this, because I realized, I felt filled with sin. I went through Yom Kippur, I did everything I'm supposed to do, but the next day I'm just back to the same old things. The same thing, Chol Hamoed, I wasn't conducting myself properly. I regret that. However, with all of that, Nichnas Yain Yetzei Sod, had quite a bit to drink yesterday, and while drunk, I would say I stayed more or less appropriate. I would maybe not 100%, but it was Al Pi Torah. I was my innermost being was Levi of Suri Iran and Ilokel Chai. My heart and my flesh are singing to the living God. I was involved in Torah, talking in Torah, having conversations in Torah with other B'nai Torah. And it was interesting because, like, at Shul, we didn't make Kiddush. I told the Chevra we should make Kiddush in the middle of the Hakafas. And I had a hard time getting into the Hakafas, to be honest. But once I drank a little bit, I was very in a Torah mood. In a godly mood, in a holy mood. The drinking made me more religious because it brought out who I am. It proved that the inhibitions of sobriety that some might have manifested in a negative way, that's the klipa, that's the shell, that's not who I am, that's not my innermost being. And the same is true with anybody. And I'll tell you something else. I finished recently the Tanakh, all 3 portions of the Tanakh, meaning the whole Klal Yisrael. We finished the Torah, and I finished Nevi'im and Ksuvim within the last week, and I finished Shas Mishnayos in the last week. I don't know how many times I finished Shas Mishnayos. I don't count. I think this is maybe the 3rd or 4th time, probably maybe 5th. I don't know, that I've been through the Tanakh. Just reading, same thing. Just read it. It's better than not doing anything. And I had a machshava zora. I had like a foreign thought. Do I really have to do this again? It's enough already. You know, I remember the first time I finished Tanakh, and it was years and years. Almost 20 years before I went back. 15 years, something, before I went back and did it again. And I had tried to do it, and I wasn't successful. And now, Baruch Hashem, I went through it. And I didn't feel so excited like I did in past times, and Yehoshua is has a few chapters that are, I don't want to say boring, but I'll say it without saying it, you know. And I was like, should I really do this again? And then I was inspired by simchas Torah to say, no, I'm going to do it again. I'm not going to stop learning just because. And not only that, but I'm thinking, I learn 2 block Gemara every day, and when I finish Shas this time, I'll try maybe another 3 block. If I could keep up with 2 for this long, maybe we could go to 3, And it was a story that I saw in the Machzor that is a medrash, I guess, that the Satan, Satan, who prosecutes Jewish people, said to God, look, the Jews, they learn Torah and they don't finish it. So then it comes to simchas Torah, and God says to Satan, no, look, they finished it. And he said, yeah, they finished it, but they don't start it again. And he said, no, look, they started again. And then he doesn't have what to answer. And this is what we got to do. We just, the chulapa, got to turn it around and around, because everything's in it. Just keep going, just keep learning, and don't stop learning Torah. Baruch Hashem, I might not be learning the best way, but at least I'm doing something. At least I'm not, I'm not letting the whole day go without any Torah. I might just be reading it in a very superficial way. And I try my best, and that's all we can do. And that's what we have to do. And if you can learn a little deeper, it's also good. But you can't learn deep until you know what you're learning. You have yeshiva bachrim. I'm not going to mention one yeshiva. Their whole thing is they want to upschlag their yeshiva, upschlag the Maggid Shir, but they don't know what they're upschlagging. They know, the one blot Gemara, but they can't see things in a holistic way. And Chazal say the very Torah, aniyim b'makom echad v'ashirim b'makom acher, that the words of Torah are poor in one place and rich in another place, meaning everything has to be in context and in a holistic manner, or else you're going to miss out and not know what you're talking about. It's a big problem. And people, they just want everything, a pilpul and this and that, and it's not the true derech halimud. The true derech halimud is to sit and learn. Like the Zaydas Chavos Yor, someone had a taina, he didn't come to bar mitzvah, right? And he asked for a bar mitzvah gift of a derech halimud for his 13-year-old son, and it's a good derech halimud for 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds also. So the Baruch Shalom should help us. We should be able to learn Torah and grow in Yerushalayim, and we should be able to bring out our essence, which is Torah essence, without having to drink also. We should, there's a story, it's a very common thing. People say, you're, and we daven on simchas Torah, we ask, that we should be filled with Torah and bias and b'chutz, the inside and outside, we should be Torahdik. And it's a common thing to tell someone that your pnimius should reflect your chitzonius, that you see someone who might appear very pious in an external way, but they might, and religious, but is it really affecting their soul, their heart and their soul? And so we bless them that their deepest essence should reflect that which they're expressing in an external and superficial manner. But they say that, in the old days now, Torah Das was always a very choshev yeshiva, but the world has changed, right? So in the old days, Torah Das, they were trying to chop as many kids that they could to come and learn in yeshiva, right? It was an uphill battle for any yeshiva in those days, and so you couldn't. When the Malachim, started dressing in the Hasidic way and growing beards and wearing long coats and hats, they had to be thrown out of yeshiva. And it was like that in the yeshiva I went in Derech, even though, like we made a yearbook and there was a rule not one black hat could appear in the yearbook, because they don't want to scare parents to see it's a black hat yeshiva. And I was very offended by that, to be honest. In the Ezra Academy, they let me wear my black hat in my yearbook picture, and it looked pretty good. And they took a nice yearbook picture in Derech and with a hat, and they made me take one without a hat. It didn't look as nice, but that's superficial. It shouldn't matter. And why am I thinking about things from 20 years ago? It doesn't matter anymore. Like Rabbi Weinberger told us, who cares if there's no yearbook in the end, right? Like everybody is going crazy about a yearbook, and if in the end there's no yearbook, I don't remember the last time I looked at my yearbook. I don't even know where it is, either one. But it was only that 1 year that we had the yearbook in there, as far as I know. I don't know, that was, or at least for the first year. The one guy, he wanted to do it, but they said, nobody could wear a hat. We don't want to scare anybody away, because Torah is more important than a hat, and I agree. In those days everybody wore hats, right? But to have a beard, to wear a hat, jacket, and a tie, that's what everybody wore. But to have a beard, to wear a long coat, I think that was strange, and you didn't have, like you have today, the Sikhs, they're not embarrassed to wear their lavush and so forth, different world. So anyway, the hippies and everything, the hipsters, in those days, everybody, you had to fit in, right? In the 30s, so 40s, 50s, so in the 50s, the Satmarov, he visited Turvadas, maybe already in the 40s, and he noticed, how choshev these Bachrim and Yungalite were, and what Talmidei Chachamim they were, and he was very impressed because it's a very fine yeshiva. But he said he saw they didn't have beards, they didn't wear, Hamish type of lavush. They dressed like everybody else dressed, which is how Bnei Yeshiva dress today, more or less, right? And he wished them that their Ketzonia should reflect their Panemius, that their outer garb and grooming should reflect their inner spirit, because he said their inner spirit was very good, and which is a strange blessing to wish someone, but it's emblematic. The truth is, it's not only about how you're dressing. There's more to it. It's about how, Chitzonius and Panemius is not just, how you dress and this and that. It's also how you conduct yourself in general. And the truth, and what's your inner core philosophy and ideology. And the truth is, we have to embrace who we truly are. We might not live up to it all the time, but that which we fail is only a shell. It's not who we are. And we can find that out on days like simchas Torah and Purim, when the wine comes in, the secrets come out. But the truth is, we have to embrace who we truly are, which is we are one with the Torah and one with God. The truth is, we are, in a sense, Trinitarian. Kudshabricho Yisrael v'Araisa Kul Echad. It's just that we have a different Trinity. Our Trinity is the Holy One, blessed be He. We are united homiletically and mystically, not in the pshat sense, not in the simplistic sense, but we are all one, the pious Jewish community, which anybody can join, of any race can join this community, but meaning the people who are the people of God, and in a certain sense, according to Rabbi Bar Tzadok, it's really anybody who embraces goodness in this world, of any religion, at least in a certain sense. And the Torah, and again, Rabbi Bar Tzadok speaks of a universal Torah. I want to listen to his lecture on this, but these aspects of the people of God and the ways of God are one with God. Not that we worship or say anything in the name of Yisrael v'Araisa. No, it's not like that. but the level of unity that we have with God that's unbreakable and unmovable, even when it's hidden and hard to see, and it might be clouded and covered up, but it's there. And so we embrace that and celebrate that. And that's what it means when we have a yontif like Simchas Torah. And that's how we're able to go from Ein Kol Yisrael to Bereshis. We make that full circle from Deuteronomy back to Genesis again. And also go on to Joshua. We could do both at the same time. And this way we are totally united and embrace who we truly are. Which we are B'nai Torah. We're not merely Balei Torah. We're not masters of Torah. A husband and wife can get divorced, but we're B'nai Torah. We're children of Torah. The child's connection to a parent can never be abrupted. And so when we embrace this path, we are uniting with God and recognizing who we truly are. And so we should be zeiche to embrace that and live up to who we're supposed to be and do what we're supposed to do. And God should bless us with a good year, into winter, and we should be blessed with all the blessings, and we should be able to embrace who we truly are, outside and inside, because it's all one. Thank you.